This week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not brought to you by a sponsor, like always. It is, however, a collaboration with the Midnight Terrors podcast. So before we get started on the episode, just a quick disclaimer. Kevin was having some technical difficulties throughout the show and his internet dropped a little bit. It doesn't really affect the episode much for the most part. 15 minutes towards the end, it does get significantly worse and it is a bit choppy. I did go and try to edit it, but it didn't really improve the quality of the show. So just want to give you a heads up. There is a bit of technical, messing around towards the end there. It doesn't ruin the show. It just may be a little bit difficult to listen to for a short stint, but it's only about 10, 15 minutes. With that out of the way, go ahead and enjoy the very first ever crossover of I Was a Teenage Film Snob. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob. And this week, we have a killer episode, no pun intended. We are abandoning the trope of 90s movies temporarily. We'll go back in time to the 90s again very, very soon. But this week, I have not one, but two excellent guests, and I can't wait to introduce you to them if you haven't heard them already. As you know, a few months ago, I interviewed Harley and Tyler for Scream the Fan Favorite, a movie which is getting very, very close to release. And that would have been the highlight of my year. I could have capped off my year then and would have been very, very happy. What happened next was even more exciting. I started reaching out to other podcasts in the community. They listened to my interview. I listened to their interviews because they also spoke with Harley and Tyler. And I, it's weird to say as a guy in my mid-30s, but I kind of made friends, which was nice. So today's guests are two fantastic dudes. They have a killer podcast. The second use of the word killer in the first couple of minutes. Midnight Terrors. These boys are from North Carolina. Please welcome Kevin and Jason, better known as Bucky and Diamond. Boys, welcome to the show.
What's up, buddy?
Hi. That's not a knife. I've got a knife.
The first thing that Jason said to me when I logged on before, he was just like, "G'day." Well, we're waiting for you to get on, Kevin.
Oh my goodness.
Boys, how are you? Lovely to have you on the show finally.
We're doing good, man.
No, we're doing great, man.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back with you. We had a blast recording that Dawn of the Dead episode with you a couple weeks back. Definitely one of our favorites, one that I cannot keep my laughter within when listening back to it. So it's an honor to have it flipped around now and to be on your show. Big fan.
Thank you. It was a fun time. I've really enjoyed getting to meet people through the podcast. Something that I always hoped would happen, but never expected because I don't know, I just a self-deprecating guy. I'm like, who would want to listen to my show, But I've been on a couple of shows now, and yours was so much fun. We got to talk about Dawn of the Dead, and I was really excited to put the screws on you guys this time because you exclusively talk about horror, which was so much fun for me because we don't talk about horror enough on my show. Most of my regular guests aren't big horror fans, which is fine. But to come and talk Dawn of the Dead for almost 2 hours, and actually technically it was closer to 4 hours because we spoke for like an hour before we recorded as well.
There's a lot that was on the cutting room floor.
So before we get into it all, I'd love for you guys just to talk a bit about your show. Let's pump it up. Midnight Terrors. You getting close to episode 34, 35 now? Are we getting kind of close to that?
Yeah, man. We just dropped episode 33 on Sunday as we're recording this. We launched the show about 7 months ago. It was July 3rd last year.
Nice one.
Basically, I came back from a horror convention and I had such a blast that I really wanted to start something that was a regular celebration of that and emulated the feeling that I had from that convention, just talking to all the fans of horror and just having that outlet to kind of celebrate that. And who better to call up than my brother-in-law, who is as big a horror fan as I am. And we've introduced each other to so many horror movies over the years of, 20 years of being bros-in-law. And it's just turned into this thing where every week we talk about different movies and horror topics. And we've made so many friends doing this, like yourself. And it's basically just, it's basically the phone conversations, and Jason can back me up on this. It's the phone conversations that Jason and I would have anyway for 3 to 4 hours. So we might as well put it out into the world.
Yeah, fantastic. And so, Jason, was this? It sounds like this was all Kevin's idea, but he might just be taking credit. How much input did you have in the inception of the podcast, and how much control do you have of the show now?
I will say that Kevin is well, and we're calling him Kevin, but his name is Bucky. But he is the mastermind, man. He's really good at networking and talking to all these people, and he loves to go to horror cons and talk to different celebrities and everything. And so he's a good networker and has a good vibe about him. And he's just a likable dude, I guess.
Oh. Well, I want to throw, not to cut you off, Jason. I want to throw something that that's always important to note with my love of horror is like, yes, I do go to the cons, and Midnight Terrors was kind of my brainchild that I brought to Jason. But the big reason I went to Jason is because, again, brothers-in-law for nearly 20 years now, but he's always been like just a big brother to me. And a lot of my love for horror and the styles of horror that I like are because of Jason. And Jason could list off movies that he's shown me, but a lot of the excuse me, a lot of the styles that I like nowadays are because of Jason's influence on my life, and being the cool older brother, being like, hey man, check out this movie, check out that movie, and then just kind of like telling me different things about the genre. So were it not for Jason, I wouldn't be the horror fan that I am. So
nice one. I did describe you both as absolute sweethearts
so
a few weeks ago. I was like, oh, that might hurt their branding, but like, there's a lot of love in the room. Like, it's obviously a very lovely relationship, and it almost sounds like Jason is kind of your curator. So for me, it's very, very nerdy, but my favorite thing to do in the world is curate movie recommendations for people, get to know you a little bit, kind of see what you like, right? Be like, all right, cool. Let me pull some obscure stuff, see how you like this. It's why I loved working in a video store for so long, because you could kind of, it's almost like creating a movie playlist for people. I love doing that. So it sounds like that's been Jason's role in your life quite a bit.
Yeah, he's definitely been one that kind of steered the ship for me with horror. So
yeah, there's been a lot of times that I'm always going like, hey Bucky, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this. And it was just trying to get him, once he started getting into horror, I was like, man, like, this is the stuff that you need to watch. These are the like key things that you need to go to. And he fights me on some of it. But I love the podcast since we've started doing it. I love it because he has to now. So yeah, so I'll be like, dude, do you have to watch this movie? And he'll go forever and not watch it. And I'm like, no, now you have to watch it. And he's like, okay, we're doing an episode on it, so I have to watch it now. So it's fun, and it's cool because I force him to watch it. And every time he watches something, he's like, oh my God, it's amazing. And I was like, I told you, I've been telling you this forever, that it's amazing.
Yeah, if I remember correctly,
9% of the time he's right.
I was going to say the big one I remember is Demon Knight, was one you were saying for like over a decade, like, watch Demon Knight. And he finally had to, and
yeah,
no, go on. Sorry,
I gave him a copy of it. Like, I went as far as to just give him a copy of Demon Knight. I was like, here it is, watch it, and he still didn't watch it. But when it came podcast time and we wanted to do an episode on it, then he was finally like, all right, I'll watch it. And then he watched it and he was like, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. And I was like, yeah, I told you.
Well, what you need to do now, Jason, is just shoot me the list of things you've been trying to get him to watch, and the next time I come on, I'll just go through it. I'll pull one off there, and we'll get him caught up.
Well, it's cool too, because James, we mentioned this when you guested on our show, but there's a fairly significant age difference between Jason and I. He's about just under a decade older than me. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about like learning about horror from him is that because he was around for a lot of the era that I was just too young or not born yet to experience, it's cool to have Jason to kind of learn more about the genre from him, because he grew up on these movies that I just now see within the last calendar year. So it's cool for Jason to kind of educate me on, like, hey, this is where horror was at the time, and this is what this movie is. This is a movie that has inspired other movies that you like. So it's a cool little history lesson for me too, with that, again, with him being that older brother for me. So
No, absolutely. And the show, if I haven't mentioned already, the show is fantastic. I'm a big fan of the podcast that you guys run. You got a real. I said to Kevin the other day, Jason, that you guys have a real good cop, bad cop vibe, where you're both fans, but like Kevin will often be a little bit nicer, whereas you're like, no, if I don't like it or I don't like it, I'm going to say it. Like, and you'll be very honest about it, which is very funny. But I think the one that stands for me was your Smile episode. That was an episode. Like, I listened to a couple of them. I listened to the 30 Days of Night episode with is it Golden Gambit?
yes, sir. Good friend of the podcast.
Which was great. Shout out to Golden Gambit. But I loved your Smile episode. I thought it was so good. And like, we talked about this briefly on your show, where to me it was the scariest film of 2022 for me. I was just like, this is terrifying. But then when you started pulling apart, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess there are elements of this in here. There are elements of that in there. And it is funny to see how movies influence other movies. I just watched for the first time this morning The Shallows. I don't know if you've seen that one, the Blake Lively shark movie. And I was like, oh, the guys who wrote Fall watched this movie, because there's some very similar things in Fall that happen in The Shallows as well. Like, in terms of like the guy goes on the beach and steals their phone, and in Fall the guy goes and steals their car. Like, there's little plot points that kind of mirror up a little bit. But
so I think I actually, when we recorded that, I listened back to it. I think I actually missed the part where you mentioned Fall, or like it just. I guess I probably heard it and maybe forgot to go back and say something. No. I am right there with you. Fall definitely had its flaws, and Jason, I don't know if you've seen it. It's the one where the girls get stuck up on the tower.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
When they go climbing. That is the most anxiety-inducing movie I have ever seen. Like, I am not a fan of heights at all, and there were points in the theater that I actually had to close my eyes because it was so like overwhelming to watch.
I was sitting there on my couch in my living room, and my palms were sweating. I was just like, oh my goodness! Like, and then that twist, which I won't spoil, because honestly, Jason, like, it's not going to revolutionize horror. It's not going to be the scariest thing you watch or the goriest thing. But the twist for me was so unexpected. I was just like, Christ! I was like, I didn't see this coming, and now I feel really weird.
Sure. Well, there's funny things. You were talking about, just the people that we talk to or talking to you. And I actually like talking to people that disagree with me. I think those are the funniest.
This is the wrong show. I just give everyone a chance to, like, I just tell them, yeah, no, I can see why you like that. It's not really my thing, but cool, okay.
Yeah, but I will. I'll talk to Bucky, or I'll talk to you, or I'll talk to whoever. And sometimes I'm like, okay, this is why I didn't like this, or this is why I was not on board with this. And then we start talking about it, and then I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see why you like this, or I can see why that's going on. But I think the funniest things that we do on the podcast are when I disagree with people. And yes, it's an honest disagreement, and it's a disagreement where we're like, hey, we're still cool, we love each other, like, we're cool. Like, it's a fun discussion, but yeah, fuck you.
Yeah. See and listen to our Halloween Ends episode for reference.
I've got to listen to it, because we won't get into it here, because otherwise there's going to be a whole other episode. But I really, really like Halloween Ends for reasons
my dude.
For reasons I think people either missed, or just like, I understand why people hate that film. I get it. I know why people don't like. I know why people don't like it. But there's more going on in that film that I think people are maybe looking for or looking at. And whereas I was like, you know what, this film delivered in a lot of places that I was really hoping it would. But
okay. Since you threw it down, let me Let me hear the positive sides.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think the trilogy gets better. I think the first Halloween reboot, the 2018 one, is the weakest of the trilogy, which I know is controversial. Because I watched that
wow.
film. I watched that film in cinemas, and I was like, "Cool, I like this," but it's very, there's not much new or different about it. What I do like is that I think this trilogy gets very cerebral. It does a lot more for horror than horror necessarily needs to do. It's going deep into the psyche. So that first film to me is very much about paranoia. Like that's what it is about. Laurie Strode preparing for 40 years for an inevitability that may never come. Of course, it has to come, but it's all about paranoia. The second one is all about trauma. The second film is not a horror film. It's the most violent of the movies, but that is a drama film about a society trying to get over the trauma that has hung over their town for 40 years. People don't like that hospital scene. I love that hospital scene because I'm like, yes, like
No,
they
so
come.
I'm 100% on board with you there. I love the fact that it's the whole town just trying to deal with this trauma or trying to deal with everything that's going on. So I actually love the second one. I thought the second one was great.
Okay, and I'll build to the one you don't like then. Halloween ends.
Okay.
So the trilogy as a whole, is about legacy. That's what it's about. I think we can all agree there. Like it's not hidden. Like it's about legacy. The thing with legacy is you can't have legacy without someone to hand that legacy over to. Was the character introduced really late into the trilogy? Yes. But you have to give it to someone. So I know that's a sticking point for a lot of people. The other thing this third film is about blame and forgiveness. Like that's what that movie is about. Like the opening like 5 minutes of that film, by the way, chilling as a father, like to see that happen, like it's just terrifying and awful. And the film, everyone in the society like just turns on him straight away. Like, well, obviously he's at fault, but then on the same page, Laurie Strode's granddaughter is just forgiven. Like, oh no, it's cool. Like, she did some killing and stuff in the last movie, but it's cool because she survived trauma. But then Laurie is being blamed, and the whole film is about how does blame and forgiveness shape people and what decisions they make after that affects them. So I like it from that standpoint because it's very cerebral. But like as a slasher film, sure. Like as a Halloween sequel, it's missing some things, and I get that. But I just like the big swings they were taking in the movie. Because I'll be impressed by anything. Just don't be boring. If you're boring, I don't have much to defend you on. But if you can show me different things, I'll like you. So that's my take on Halloween Ends, briefly surmised.
Well, no, and I agree with the big swings that they're taking and the themes that they're going after. But as a Halloween movie, I just didn't feel like it was necessary. Like
Sure.
it's a Halloween movie. Like sure. It's Michael Myers. And yeah, if you wanna go a little bit darker, if you want to go a little bit, like you said, like more cerebral, great. But just that one, I was just like, yeah, I don't know. It just
where do you stand on
it just didn't land for me. It just didn't land.
Of course, and it didn't land for most people. Like, so I'm not being like, I'm right and everyone else is wrong. If I'm in the minority, chances are I'm wrong, and that's fine. But I like that film for what it is. Where do you stand on the original Halloween 3 then? Because that's not a Michael Myers film either, and that was one that was maligned for a very long time, but now everyone suddenly loves it.
Oh yeah. No, that's Kevin's. That's Bucky's.
Okay.
Jason, have we talked about Halloween 3 like much at all?
Season of the Witch?
Yeah, we have. But,
I know we haven't done an episode on it, but have we mentioned?
But that's your jam. That's not mine.
Before, because I don't remember us discussing it. Okay. The reason I'm asking if we've discussed it at all before is because I actually couldn't recall when just asked that. Where do you stand? I just Halloween 3 for the first time, maybe 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really like that movie. I just love how bizarre it gets. And it also gave me a song that I unironically listen to pretty regularly when I'm driving around, which is the Happy, Happy Halloween, Halloween.
Silver Shamrock? Yeah.
I don't know. I like how, yeah. I would have been intrigued if the Halloween franchise had actually gone the way that John Carpenter envisioned, where it was a new story every like Halloween. But I'm also not like devastated that it didn't. But for what Halloween 3 is, yes, it has no business being a Halloween movie, but it is a very fun 80s horror flick. And I do want to point out with Halloween Ends, and I mentioned this on our episode too, James. But for me, I think a large part of the reason why Halloween Ends works is because I'm such a big fan of the performance of the actor that plays Corey in the movie.
Yeah, he's great.
I just feel like
Yeah.
if that had, if that had fallen flat for me, I would have absolutely been on board with everyone else being like, I don't like this movie. But the actor that plays Corey gave such a strong performance and making me feel sad for him, but also at points be very much against him. And for me, that's where Halloween Ends gets its strength. And sure, we all want to see more Michael Myers, but for where they took the Corey storyline, I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I was a fan of that performance and a fan of that character. So
And look, the good thing is, if you didn't like Halloween Ends, they're gonna reboot it in like 2 years, I'm sure. Like Michael Myers will never die.
Well, I think me and Jason are a little bit in the minority because where everyone else was so excited about Halloween 2018, which I love 2018, I enjoyed that whole trilogy.
I will go on
Everyone
record.
else
I do
was
love
of the
that
mindset.
film. I wasn't like, whoa, the way everyone else was. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Halloween film. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much a return to form, but
Yeah.
whereas everybody else was so excited about it because it was a return to form, I think Jason and I are actually a little bit in the minority in that we did not think that the Halloween franchise was quote unquote in the shitter at that point because we are big fans of the Rob Zombie films, which is what came before that.
That first one in particular,
so we I think we're a little bit different.
The zombie episodes of the zombie films were great. They were really good.
I'm a big Rob Zombie fan as well. We didn't really talk about it when I was on your show because you were talking about the horror films that kind of shaped me. But Devil's Rejects is like hands down one of just like my favorite movies of all time.
Man.
That's like Bill Moseley, maybe most underrated actor of all time.
God, yes,
that
love
speak
Bill
figures in the
Moseley.
desert was like, well, there's no point in hiding it from you now. I buried some guns out here, and when I dig them up, I'm going to kill you. Like, just
Jason and I often will be on the phone with each other and say, I'm going to paraphrase, but that whole spiel that he does in House of a Thousand Corpses with the, you ever worked a real job in a day in your life? And I'm not talking about Mickey Mouse on one end and Donald Duck on the other. We're such a big fan of Otis and Bill Moseley, and gotta love Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There's so many good points from those movies, and I think one of the things that messes me up so bad is when he's walking them out there and he's got his pistol on him. He's like, I think I can smell your wife's pussy stink on my gun. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
That's a tough line.
Like, yeah, it's like, dude, that's the worst thing that you could fucking say. Like, it's just awful. And he thinks it's funny. He thinks it's hilarious. And I'm like, okay, all right.
It is also the same character that woke up hugging a naked girl's corpse in his bed before their house gets raided. So
he's got cheerleaders. Cheerleader corpses are his sleeping buddies.
Yeah.
But I could watch that. Like, I've seen some less than great films, but because Bill Moseley's in, I'm like, yep, doesn't matter. Put it on. Like, he's probably my favorite character actor of all time. I just think he's solid.
Yeah,
like,
no, he's great. Yeah, he's fantastic.
He was the reason why I watched why I watched Repo: The Genetic Opera, which I talked about a little on your show, and we'll probably get to it at one point. But he's brilliant as well.
We're giving you free reign to pick that anytime, my friend. Bring on the weird.
Excellent. Well, I want to get into your list.
We've been going off for like an hour, which is what we always do. But I think he wanted to get a little bit out of us. So what's up?
I was going to say, I want to get into your list, but before we do, I want to go back. This is what we do with all of our guests and just find out where it all began. Like, I don't need to ask you guys if you're film fans. Like, clearly, you guys are film fans, Seb. But where does it all begin? Where does it all begin for both of you? Like, for me, it was going to the library with my mom, and then like my dad showing me a VHS ripped copy of the Blues Brothers, and then going to the video store every weekend from about 4 or 5 years old. So where does it start for you guys? Is it a lifelong thing? Is it a later in life thing? Where do you guys become film fans?
I'm gonna
You want
let
to take
Buck
that one
go
first,
first.
Jason? Oh, okay.
No, I'm gonna let Buck go first. Yeah, you're up.
We're both so polite. You go first. You go first.
Told you, absolute
no.
sweethearts.
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of hard to pinpoint where my love of movies comes from. It's just always been kind of a staple and a hobby in my life. Some of the first movies I can remember seeing on like the big screen were while not the greatest movies, they were like the summer blockbusters that kind of just captivated me as a kid on the screen.
Sure.
I'm sure there's ones earlier than this, but these are just the ones that I can remember from the earliest back, but they were movies from the 90s because I was born in 92.
Yep.
So movies when I was 5 or 6 years old watching on the big screen in a theater like Batman and Robin or Godzilla with Matthew Broderick, or like all of those big 90s summer blockbusters that were like the staples of the 90s. Like, we say what we will about them now, but back then they were like,
I am a known Batman and Robin
you've got
apologist.
a really shitty movie startup.
No, I am on this show. I have defended Batman and Robin multiple times. That was my first Batman. So even though, whilst it doesn't hold up compared to the modern takes, I got a lot of love for that film just from a nostalgia point of view.
I gotta say about Batman and Robin, and I'm gonna say this on record with the massive Batman fan over there that is my co-host. Is Batman and Robin a quote-unquote good movie?
It's good.
No, not at all. No, it is not.
No, it's not. But do you know what it is?
From a nostalgia standpoint? Yes.
It is an extension of the 1960s Batman TV show. Like, that is what that movie is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So do I enjoy it but remember, Jason, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I was the right age group for Batman and Robin. So like,
me too. I was
that
8,
movie
so.
absolutely got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, came out at the perfect time. But those are just like, they weren't necessarily my all-time favorite. I mean, Godzilla 1998 was, but Batman and Robin, like the big summer blockbusters in the 90s were ones that I remember watching. I can remember watching Independence Day on like 100 times on VHS at home, or like Men in Black. So like the 90s blockbusters were where it started for me.
Tell me this though,
that first one is one of my all-time favorites.
Just to jump back to Batman and Robin for a second, tell me you wouldn't watch a movie next year if they announced George Clooney was returning as Batman and Schwarzenegger was returning as Mr. Freeze, and they did it dark and gritty. You wouldn't want to watch that film, like you do.
I would, out of curiosity.
Like that, like you would totally go and see that film, like Clooney and Schwarzenegger back together. Like, do it right, absolutely.
So, like, I started with the.
I would put a bullet in my face.
Well, Batman doesn't do that, bro. So
yeah. So I think what James is saying, Jason, is Batman, you are not. But anyway, as a kid in the 90s, the summer blockbusters were where it started for me. I remember going to see several of those on the screen and just being all about it. But at home, I can remember watching some of the older movies like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with my family. Yep. That are all very like big comfort childhood favorites of mine. And then also my family were massive Disney fans. Yeah, like massive Disney fans. And I can remember, watching like Beauty and the Beast and Hercules and all this stuff, seeing those in the theaters too. So I can't remember where my love of film started, but I do tie a lot of it back to my family. It's just, we were a family of film lovers. And like my late papa also, his favorite movie, Zorro, Legend of Zorro from the 90s. That was another favorite of mine. And I have a tattoo of that. So I attribute a lot of it to just watching movies with my family and it being a staple of my childhood.
Nice one. I've been reflecting on a lot. I'm working on a project which I keep teasing on the show, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet. But I've been thinking back and reflecting a lot on my childhood, and what I've realized that every major moment in my life is tied into film some way. And not only that, most of those films that were important to me were gifted to me by someone. Like, it was curated. Like, my dad passed on Blues Brothers to me. I was far too young to watch Blues Brothers, so he got it off the TV, so all the swearing was cut out. When I was 15, I was mortified. I was like, what is this movie? I had no idea it was so dirty. But like, just the idea of like people, again, I talked before, my favorite thing to do in the world is curate a movie list for someone. And I love that because that's all that was given to me in my childhood, and sounds like it's very much a family affair for you as well, which is very, very cool. What about you, Jason?
Absolutely.
I remember like most of mine when I started getting into movies were all like, I guess what you would call classics. So I remember watching. I can't tell you the first time that I saw Star Wars or saw A New Hope. But yeah, it was like A New Hope. And then my dad was a huge Indiana Jones fan. So I
Yes.
watched Indiana Jones all day. And in fact, I have a I have a fun little memory where it was Temple of Doom, and they're whipping Indy, and he's like, "Leave him alone, you bastards!" And I turned around to my dad, and I was like, "You bastard!" He was like, "Dude, you don't say that. You can't say bastard." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, my bad."
So can I, Jason,
but no,
before you keep going, Jason, sorry to cut you off. Before you keep
Sure.
going, because it's going to slip out of my head, you just reminded me of a moment that I don't know if I've ever told you. James, you'll probably get a kick out of this. Going back to Batman again. If either of you, I know, yeah,
It all
I know
comes
that
back
you
to
have,
Batman.
Jason. James,
Well, Kevin's going
it's
back to
6 degrees to
Batman. It's not my fault this time.
Just so you guys know, like, just to
I mean,
put your
listen
mind
to
at
our
ease, this is literally on my desk right now. Like, I've got like my Injustice trade here, so Batman
Yes,
is always within reach.
yes, yes.
I'm rereading. I love the series so much.
go listen. Go listen to our Crow episode. You'll hear like 15 minutes of Batman talk, and we're like, maybe we should get back to the movie at hand.
There is a lot of Batman over here as well, so all good.
Yeah, love it. But when Jason was talking about saying "you bastard" after watching Indiana Jones, if the both of you have seen Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, that animated movie from the
Great movie.
90s,
Yeah.
Great movie.
yes, the earliest gritty Batman film, way before we got Nolan. But I can remember it was like always a movie that I rented from Blockbuster every chance I got. And I was watching it, and there's a part where Batman gets away from the police, and the cops accidentally like blow something up, and Batman gets away. And one of the cops goes, "Ya jerk!" And I actually looked at my dad, and screamed that at him once. And I got in big trouble for that because I looked at my dad and said, "Ya jerk!" He's like,
Well, there you
can't
go.
say that."
That's
No,
Anyway,
but,
continue, Jason.
yeah, just kind of going back, like, I mean, all of my early things when I was a kid, it was stuff that my dad, my brother liked. It was Indiana Jones. It was Star Wars. And then once I got a little bit older, got into like Alien, a lot of Ridley
Yes.
Scott stuff. And
Big fan of Alien on this show. Like, I will talk up Alien every chance I get. Yeah, love Alien.
Yeah. Alien was great. And then as I started getting older, I talk a lot about it on the show. Like, The Thing is one of my favorite movies. But yeah, it was just like these old classics that it just. And I don't want to watch the new Indiana Jones, unfortunately.
I was going to ask you about that because it's James Mangold who did Logan, which is a wonderful movie. And that's the only reason I'm kind of really interested in it, because I'm like, well, he did a great job with Logan, so maybe we'll see a cool Indiana Jones film.
Exactly, and I did recognize that too. So I'm hoping that he does a good job with it. But well, and kind of like a little funny story too. Like, my dad and my brother went and saw Crystal Skull before I did. and they watched it, and they called me, and after they had watched it, and I was pissed off because they watched it before I did, because that's like our favorite series. Like, we love Indiana Jones. But they went and watched it without me, and they called me afterwards, and they were like, dude, don't go watch it. And I was like, what? They were like, dude, do not go see it. And I was like, well, I'm gonna see it. Like, it's gonna happen. But they were like, don't do it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it anyway. So I went and saw it, and I'm sitting there for the first like probably 30 minutes, and I'm seeing Area 51, and I'm seeing the little top of the Ark of the Covenant, and all of these like
Which
little
is a very cool
throwbacks and
moment.
everything.
Like, there are a couple of cool moments. Like, it's a film that is, again, I would say hated by a lot of people, but there are some cool little moments in a film that, is probably not very well thought out.
Yeah, so the first like half hour, I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, they told me not to watch this, but I'm like, this is pretty cool, and then it just nosedived, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. This fucking sucks. So
We were actually talking about Crystal Skull in the last episode, and I was saying to my buddy Nick, I was like, I remember, because I'll be honest, I saw Crystal Skull and I didn't see the problem with it. I was young. I was still like learning about film. I'd only seen the Indiana Jones films once. So I was like, I didn't have that same affinity for the series everyone else did. So I'm like, oh, Aliens was weird for this movie, but I don't know. It was cool going back to the warehouse and the Ark of the Covenant, but I haven't watched it since theaters. So I said to my buddy, I'll rewatch it and I'll give an updated review on it and see how I feel about it. Because, I was like I would have been like 16, 17, maybe 18 when it came out. I can't remember when it came out now. And I was just, I didn't have the same hatred for it that everyone else seemed to have, but I will rewatch it and I'll give everyone an update once I've seen it.
Well, the thing with the indie films is that there's always this like kind of archaeological aspect to it, and also they do have a religious aspect to it. To whether they're finding the Holy Grail or they're finding the Ark of the Covenant or whatever, like there's this cool shit about it. And even I have learned to actually like Temple of Doom. I used to hate Temple of Doom.
There's a lot of
but I like
screaming
it.
in that film. The end is great. The whole cult stuff ripping out the heart, but like that girl, she's very Marilyn Burns at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just shrieking for like an hour. I'm like, all right, like cool. Let's try a different level. Like, come on.
Well, and she actually died last week, which is sad.
I take it back. She was brilliant.
Well, and do you realize that she is the mom from the Christmas Story?
I'm going to disappoint you. The Christmas Story is not a big film over here in Australia, so I haven't seen it.
Oh man!
Wow.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Christmas
so no
Story
24
is great,
hours
man.
of Christmas Story for you on Christmas.
No, I don't even know. I mean, it must air on free to wear, but I don't watch free to wear TV anymore. I use my Blu-rays or my streaming services. That's about it. But it is one I've always been intrigued by. So I will maybe this Christmas I'll sit down and finally watch a Christmas Story.
Yeah, definitely watch it. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
It's the one about the
great
BB
movie.
gun. Is that the one? And there's the leg lamp and
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I know the
Leg
tropes.
lamp.
Yeah.
The staples of it: the BB gun and the leg lamp.
Yeah.
Yep. And they actually, so in the US here, on one specific TV station, they literally play it for 24 hours on Christmas, where it just runs back to back. But anyways, no, but so like indie was a big thing for me, and that was always like a big draw for me and my brother and my dad. So was Star Wars. Those were kind of our go-tos, and I always watched it. Like it was always there for me. Like there was no like. And I think we touched on it a couple episodes ago. Is one of those, both of those are movies that it's just like they were just always there. Like I can't tell you the first time I saw Star Wars. I can't tell you the first time I saw Indiana Jones, because they were just always part of my life. Like that, it was just always a part of my culture.
Yeah.
And I still, like, even when I'm flipping through channels or whatever on TV, anytime that I pass Star Wars or I pass Indiana Jones, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna watch that shit.
You play the Goodfellas game with it? The Goodfellas game, there's this comedian. Oh, you might know him. Do you know the show Ted Lasso? You must know Ted Lasso.
No.
Oh, okay. So Ted Lasso is an Apple TV show. It's Jason Sudeikis. He plays like an American coach. He used to be like
Oh
a
yeah,
football.
no, Jason Vegas. Yeah.
So in that show, there's a British comedian called Brett Goldstein. He plays Roy Kent, but he has a podcast as well, and they play this game, the Goodfellas game. And the game is try not to watch Goodfellas if you stumble upon it on TV, and you can't win it because it's an utterly watchable film. And it sounds like that's what you play with your movies as well, with Raiders and Star Wars.
Well, there's so many of those.
I feel like everybody has those.
Yeah, Back to the Future. If Back to the Future is on, I will sit down and watch all of Back to the Future.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think like kind of what you were wanting to talk about, like kind of like top 5, like for us, or top 5 movies in general. I mean, Star Wars trilogy, the original. Back to the Future is great as well. And I love Tombstone. Tombstone is like one of my favorite movies ever. Have you seen Tombstone, James?
So I haven't. It's one that's been on my list for a while. I was going through a lot of the westerns, and Tombstone is one that like. What the thing is, it was made unavailable on physical media for the longest time. I think it's just been re-released, but I haven't been able to get my hands on it, which is why I haven't seen it.
Wow.
But I love that cast. Like, all I hear is how fantastic it is. So it's a big one for me that I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah, it's something that, like, again, I'd say it's one of those things that always comes on that you're always going to watch. Tombstone is one of them. The Green Mile,
yes,
is up
so
there. Good. So is Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Yeah, so I could go off for days about my favorite movies, whether it's like Ghostbusters or, whatever, which my kids have just gotten into Ghostbusters. And my daughter Ellie has made me watch Ghostbusters probably like 20 times in the last 2 days.
I mean, look, there are worse things they can be watching, so...
Let's clarify that, though. He uses the term "made him watch it." Jason has no qualms about watching Ghostbusters any day of the week.
You twisted my arm.
Yeah. Oh, if you say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, can I watch terrible YouTube videos, or can I watch Ghostbusters too? Yeah, I'll watch Ghostbusters too. Yeah. But yeah, no, I have... It's so hard for me to pick like really good, not really good films, but it's so hard for me to narrow down the movies that I like, because I have so many of them, and I'm a big Michael Mann fan.
You're going to be popular on this show. My buddy Nick, who I was talking to about Indiana Jones the other episode, he is a huge Michael Mann fan as well, and he keeps telling me to watch Manhunter, which is not available in Australia, and I ordered it online and it got lost internationally. So I'm still tracking down Manhunter. But Michael Mann, Heat, obviously.
Dude, Last of the Mohicans, Heat, even Miami Vice. Like, nobody watched Miami Vice, but Miami Vice is great.
I watched it when I was in the video store. I haven't seen it since, but I remember digging it.
Yeah, the movie was great. So I love Michael Mann. And I'm also a big Christopher Nolan fan.
Yeah.
Obviously all the Batman stuff. I love Tenet. Inception is probably one of my favorite movies ever. I also love
his most underrated film is The Prestige. Like, no one talks about The Prestige, but that one's great.
Oh, I love The Prestige, man. That movie is so good.
And Interstellar obviously is brilliant. Like the guy's got I would say a sterling track record. I don't think there's a Nolan film I don't like.
Yeah, I haven't run into one that I'm just like, I don't like it. Now, Tenet, I did really enjoy, but like watching it, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
Which I think was kind of the point. Like, it was meant to be,
Yeah.
complicated. Like, that's what those Nolan boys do. That's what they did with Westworld. Season 1 is brilliant. Season 2 of Westworld, I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore. I can't track this.
Same thing. Yep, absolutely. And he and his brother, like, they're great writers, and they know what they're doing. And they're flawless. Like, if you ever try to pick something apart that they're doing, you can't, because they have an answer for it. Like, they know exactly what the fuck they're doing. But yeah, like, they're great at everything. But Tenet, and I love movies that I have to watch like 3 or 4 times to like to catch on. And obviously Inception was one of those. Like, you have to like sit there and just like keep up with it and like try and watch it to just understand everything. But Tenet, I was just like, fuck, man. But I guarantee that anybody that tries to break it down cannot break it down. Like, there's no flaw in there. I guarantee you that both of those boys have every single aspect of it like perfect.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems with Tenet. People seem to have a lot of problems with that film. The only Nolan film I struggled with was Dunkirk. And I didn't think it was a bad film. It just wasn't really what I was looking for in a movie.
I want to say it's not to say that it's boring, but it's just drawn out. It's a lot of downtime.
It's a slow film, and
it's great.
A lot of it's a fly on the wall. Like, you're not actually really engaging with the characters a lot. It's a lot of kind of, here's the situation from the side, or from afar. So you don't necessarily.
I was gonna agree with you on that, James. That I feel like that was an interesting take on a war film, and you kind of got to respect it for that reason.
Oh, I think I lost you, Kevin. This happened last time on your show, Jason, where Kevin said.
But it's also a little difficult to get it. Hold on. Are we back now?
You're back. No good. All good there.
Yeah. No, I was gonna agree with you, James, that it's an interesting take on a war film with Dunkirk, but it's also a little difficult to get invested in when, by design, you're not really following a specific character. You don't really have an endpoint in the story. But from a visual standpoint, it's a flawless film.
Technically brilliant. Like, you can't fault the film. It's just, for me, I like, and I don't know if this is a unique thing. I think most people are the same, but I really want a character to latch onto. Like, I want to follow someone's journey, and
for sure,
we kind of are following journeys, but at arm's length. We never really brought in to kind of get to know them too well, which was just a little bit distancing.
That's one of my.
You're 100% correct there. I think that with Nolan, you always have at least one character to latch on to that he's developed very well. And in Dunkirk, there really isn't. I mean, you could argue that like Tom Hardy would kind of be that character, but there's nothing really to like hold on to in that movie. Like, as far as characters go, like, it's not like there's no character development. There's no there's no kind of like background story to any of the characters or anything. It's just kind of, that's what it is. But I mean, I still enjoy the movie. I definitely don't think it's one of Nolan's best, but exactly what you said, like not being able to have a character to hang on to.
It's just different,
definitely.
you know. It's just different for him,
Yeah.
which is,
Yeah.
you know, look, good directors take swings, they take big risks, and you know, it pays off or doesn't. And like that film, I said, didn't really connect with me, but I would never be like, well, that's a bad movie, you know, like it's not a bad movie at all. It just didn't connect
No,
with
it's
me.
still good.
Yeah.
Well, Nolan has achieved something in film that is kind of difficult to do in the world of film. But when you can do it, that's one of my favorite aspects of film, is when I can tell that this director made this, and Nolan absolutely has that style.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my favorite filmmakers are, you know, from the horror genre, but like, you know, Jason was talking about some of his favorite directors, and my mind goes on my end for like John Carpenter and Mike Flanagan. But even still, like with directors that are outside of that genre, like Chris Columbus and Rob Reiner,
Mm-hmm.
they all have their style, and that's always a fun aspect of film, is when like, oh, what am I going to get with this director next? But I know it's going to feel at home, and I'm sure Jason can vouch for that with one of his other favorite directors, Quentin Tarantino.
I was gonna say Tarantino,
Yeah.
very distinct style. Like Robert Rodriguez, the same. My favorite,
Yeah.
my favorite joke about style in film is a Kevin Smith quote, and he said when Clerks was first reviewed, the reviewer said his style is that he has no style, and he goes, that's true. If you look at my films, you can't tell it's a Kevin Smith film, but if you listen, you can hear that's a Kevin Smith film just based on the dialogue, and I thought that was quite funny.
Well, even with a big time director like Steven Spielberg, like dude's done everything you can possibly do with film, but you can even watch movies of his and go, "Oh yeah, that's a Spielberg film. Makes sense."
Scorsese, another one. Like, yeah, just
Yeah.
um, fantastic. I love that whole little journey. Let's talk about your lists. So we've got top 5 movies of all time. The unfairest question anyone can ask of you as a film fan, because it's a rotating list all the time. The
And
way we
once
like,
again, you fucking bastard, but we'll do it.
yeah. And what did you call your dad, Kevin? Yeah.
I'm gonna let Kevin go first. I'm gonna let Bucky go first. I don't like this question.
So we'll go back
Well,
and
how
forth.
does
So we'll start at 5, go down to 1, alternating between. If I've seen them, I'll be able to chat about it. If I haven't, I'll get to learn about it, a film I need to watch. So Kevin, start us off. What is your number 5?
All right, my number 5. We've already kind of touched on the base of this franchise already, or we've already touched on this franchise quite a bit and the journey that it's been on. But with this first franchise and this first movie, I always go back to this original. You're gonna naturally see some horror movies in my
Of
top
course.
5, and this is one of the greatest. Halloween, 1978.
Such a great film.
You can't get, this is John Carpenter, some of his finest work. The Thing's up there, but this is of course the one I always go back to. Such a great ambient film, and like still to this day just terrifying, you know.
Really
And
scary. I mean, obviously, you know, everyone thinks of well, I mean, the general audience only thinks of John Carpenter as a director, but as film fans, we know that he does everything. And you know,
oh yeah,
the score, like the most iconic film score of all time, maybe definitely the most iconic horror score.
oh yeah.
And you know, it's just a guy in a William Shatner mask with a butcher knife, but it's so effective.
Well, just such a simple premise too. The embodiment of evil, and evil never dies
Mm,
and is just always out there learning. It always plays on that primal fear that we all have of the boogeyman in some form of like, I'm scared of the dark, or I'm scared of water, or whatever it might be. Always that primal fear that it's out there, ever present. And Michael Myers is just what a great character and embodiment of that. So, yeah, number 5, Halloween, 1978, the classic.
it's like it's a perfect film. Look, I can't fault it. Like as you said, look, it holds up to this day. It really does. Like, and that's why when the 2018 one came out, I was like, oh, it's a return to form. But like, show me something that's better than 1978's Halloween, and you can't do it. Like in that franchise, some people might disagree. So I know that there are some purists. I like the 2007 Rob Zombie one quite a bit, but that 78
Oh
Halloween
yes.
flick. You know, it has often been debated as one of the first slashes. I think there are a couple that do predate it. Like it depends on your feelings on slashes. You know, Black Christmas and Peeping Tom and Psycho will come a little bit earlier. But
Oh yeah.
and just a film. Like, one of my favorite stories about Halloween is that apparently John Carpenter was like, look, I need them to know it's Halloween, and he just loaded up every house with pumpkins. Like, he just went overboard on pumpkins so people knew it was Halloween.
Mhm.
It's a great flick. Now, it could be on your list as well. I'm not sure, Jason, but where do you stand on 1978's Halloween?
Yeah, I love the original Halloween. And like you said, I'm actually a big fan of the Rob Zombie iteration. I thought it was a cool take on it, because the original Halloween is definitely iconic. I mean, seeing Michael like in the mask, or that POV scene,
Mm.
like where he's in the mask and seeing his sister
Yeah.
and stabbing her to death and everything. Like, I can't think of anything. I could be wrong, but I can't think of anything that I've seen before that actually like pulled that out, or did that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I definitely love the original Halloween. I definitely love the Zombie Halloween, because he just kind of expanded on the lore,
Mhm.
and made it a little bit more difficult, made it a little bit more gory. And some people didn't like him uh, kind of humanizing, I guess, is humanizing Michael.
Yeah, some people didn't like that backstory, but for me, I agree. I like seeing just like this little psychopathic kid. But even more interesting to me was the whole obsession with masks in the asylum. Like him, to the point where he wouldn't be seen without a mask. He had all these different, like, there was a pumpkin mask and like little monster masks and stuff.
Yeah,
So there's a
yeah, he
really
kept,
interesting little detail on his psychology.
yeah, and kind of just reinventing himself, or
Mm.
almost, or just I think the masks were more of him changing his moods.
Mm.
Like, it was just like, hey, I'm dirty today, or I'm angry today, or I'm happy today.
Yeah,
Because he would have like a clown mask, and then he would have just a mask that was just like completely black.
yeah,
And then he would have another mask that was like some kind of like almost like a forest scene. So he's just like wanting to get out of where he is, because he's trapped. But yes, I really did like the zombie Halloween. But I also really love the original Halloween. It's one of my favorite movies. It's definitely in my top 10.
nice one. It's just a staple of the genre, Like,
Oh
when I
yeah.
think of horror, like, you can't talk horror without talking Halloween. I think it's a great first choice. That was also Tyler's number 5, Kevin, when we talked about horror
Ah,
films. So
yes.
great minds,
Yeah, well,
obviously.
I also oh, yeah, and I thank you. Definitely not as talented or intellectual as Tyler, but,
Don't sell yourself
I,
short. You probably got a good movie in there somewhere. We'll just wait and see. Or you could be the next
but,
face of Toyota. I don't know.
I,
Like,
I'm betting that Kevin can guess at least one of mine.
oh
I think
god,
we I think
yeah.
we can all guess one.
Uh,
I've got pretty good idea of what one will be as well. But let's jump into your number 5, Jason.
So my number 5, all time films. I would probably have to go with I would probably have to go Kill Bill 1 and 2,
Yes, yes, yes,
which
yes.
you can, I mean, I guess you can count them as one,
Absolutely.
because
That's
it's
how I did it when I put it
yeah,
in my top 5. So absolutely.
yeah, like, I love Kill Bill, and I love Tarantino, in general. One of my favorite scenes from like any movie is Pumpkin and Honey Bunny,
Hmm.
um, from Pulp Fiction, just talking about how they're going to rob these people, or
Yeah.
and actually, my daughter Ellie, I call her Honey Bunny all the time.
One day she'll
She's
know
like,
what that
"Oh,
means.
yeah." She has no idea because, of course, she's not seen Pulp Fiction. But I'm just like, "Yeah, Honey Bunny," and she's like, "Yeah, Daddy." but But yeah, I would say Kill Bill, man. Like Kill Bill, episodes 1 and 2 or parts 1 and 2. I mean, it's just the epitome of just cheesy, awful, great stuff, man. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, when she's breakdancing with her swords and cutting everybody apart, um, it's so good, and I love that, like when anyone gets cut open or whatever, like the blood sprays everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it's just like it's like a water hose of
Yeah, well, he
blood.
was he was mimicking those Shaw Brothers, kung fu films from the 70s. But um,
Yes, exactly.
so no joke, this is not like a line. Like I just rewatched Kill Bill Volume 1 the other night. I'm actually doing a rewatch of all the Tarantino films at the moment, and I've doing them order from Reservoir Dogs forward. So
Nice.
I did Reservoir Dogs, I did Pulp Fiction, I did Jackie Brown. Now I just did Kill Bill Volume 1, and it's crazy. Like there's a 6 or 7 year break between Jackie Brown and Kill Bill, and the amount, like the change in style, in visual composition between Jackie Brown and Kill Bill is astonishing. Like suddenly he's gone from this indie filmmaker to this polished, like well framed, and he's always visually interesting. But Kill Bill is just like an elevation on his style. It's visually gorgeous. Um, everyone, like Uma Thurman is perfect in that film. Like,
Oh
she's
yeah,
so
she's
good.
great.
It's so cheeky for them to, like, take the Game of Death Bruce Lee outfit and whack it on her, but like she rocks it. And
Yeah.
the second half of the second half of the film is a fight scene. It's like 40 minutes of like samurai swords and go with a saw ball or whatever it's called, and it's perfect.
Well, and the dirty parts, especially with them taking the samurai swords out and
Mm.
fighting in the trailer. Um, we call them mobile homes or trailers. I don't know what you call them,
Yeah,
but
yep.
uh, but yeah, and some of the funniest stuff is like them trying to pull their swords out, but there's not enough room for them to pull their swords out. Like they're hitting the walls and they can't even like fully unsheath their swords and stuff. Like it's just so well thought out. It's so good. And I could go on about Tarantino forever.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm a really big Kill Bill fan. And Tarantino, just in general.
So Kill Bill is the first Tarantino film I ever saw, and it's one of the first ones I'll recommend to people. So again, go back to the whole curating, like if people want to see something a little bit different, I always recommend Kill Bill first. It's a film that my wife and I have bonded over for over a decade now. And when my sister turned 18, I was like, all right, now that you're 18, you can watch it. The first film you need to
Yeah.
watch is the first R film. Let's watch Kill Bill 1 and 2 back to back together. Um, but my wife makes fun of me constantly because there's a scene in Kill Bill. It's not even a scene; it's a shot in Kill Bill Volume 1. It's in the showdown with Oren Ishii, and and it happened to me again the other night when I was watching it. They're in the garden. It's the snow falling, and at one point they've cut each other and they're taking a breath. And in the foreground, like there's just a focus on a fountain, and the water pours down. And every time I see that shot, I go, "Oh!" I go, "This is perfect. This is a perfect frame of film." I always say it out loud. And my wife's like, all right. She's like, calm down. I know it's your O face part of the movie. Like she always says, she just knows that like when that's when I get at my geekiest, because that is just like a perfect frame for me. But I adore this film. I just can't say enough good things about it. Like both parts
Well,
are great.
so that little like kind of water fountain or whatever you want to call it, it's called a shishio doshi.
They
And
learning something new. Good.
yeah, it's called a shishio doshi. And that's when the water like fills up and then the bamboo drops down
Mm.
and you just kind of hear this little tap when it goes down. And I used to actually listen to that when I was going to sleep. I
Oh wow.
found yeah, I found like a white noise, and it was like a shishiodoshi, where you would just hear it filling up and just boop. And I used to call it shit in your butt, and just for fun. I was just like, oh yeah. And Bucky's sister, we would try and go to sleep, and we would listen to white noise all the time. And she'd be like, "What do you want to listen to?" I'm like, "Shit in your butt." But no, Kill Bill's fantastic, and I love Tarantino all day.
Yeah, and we didn't touch on part two very much. You did mention the trailer scene, which is of course genius and very very funny. But even like her crawling out of the grave, or the whole Pai Mei stuff where he's like this racist, angry old man, but like it's just so well, like lined with comedy in a way that only Tarantino could execute. I think if any other filmmaker tried to do it, it probably wouldn't work. But it's just it's perfection for me. We haven't really spoken to you about this one, Kev, but where do you sit on Kill Bill?
So regretfully, this is where Jason will make fun of me for having not seen it. Tarantino is a director that Jason has always tried to get me to watch, and not for any other reason. It's just been on my list to watch Tarantino films. The one that probably intrigued me the most with Tarantino that I really want to start with and almost go backwards is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I'd be interested to see what Jason's thoughts on it. I would recommend against that. To me, Once Upon it's probably my least favorite of his films. It's not a bad film. It just feels a little bit more freestyle than his other work. Like every film he's made prior has a very direct sense of purpose. Whereas Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, to me, just feels like it's just kind of cruising along, doing its own thing, but doesn't really have an end game. I would definitely recommend Kill Bill or Inglourious Basterds. I think that's where you should start. Yeah. Those to me are like the strongest.
Or I would even say Reservoir Dog.
Oh, Reservoir, yeah, of course, Reservoir Dogs is great as well.
Well, so we'll get to Django.
So I think the reason that I suggested, because Tarantino I don't think has done a movie since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's correct.
No. For me, it almost makes. I've seen plenty of parts of his movies to know like kind of what I'm in for, and for me, with his style of directing, not that I dislike it, I almost feel like it's probably going to be easier for me to get into him if I start backwards, where he's a little less Tarantino, and then I slowly go back into stuff like Django and Inglourious Basterds and Kill Bill and stuff like that. It almost makes more sense from where I'm coming from to go backwards. But Kill Bill's been one that's on my list that I've always been intrigued by. I just unfortunately have not seen it.
Kill Bill, so again, like the backwards thing, I would recommend against it. Like you do what you want, because the second film is Hateful Eight, and Hateful Eight I love, but it is a 3-hour big budget remake of Reservoir Dogs. Like it's
but Hateful Eight is great.
It's wonderful. Really like it's wonderful. But yeah, like after you said that, you'll probably feel less inclined to watch Reservoir Dogs. But
the closest thing I've seen to a Tarantino film was when Jason got me to watch From Dusk Till Dawn on our podcast. Which is
great. So good.
Loved it. Yeah.
Did you go on? Sorry.
Oh no! So I'll probably really enjoy Tarantino once I get to it, because I liked the little. You can tell where there are hints of Tarantino's writing in From Dusk Till Dawn. That it'll be a fun journey through his filmography, whichever way I go. I'm a bit of a completionist, so even if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Hateful Eight don't stick with me, I'll still be like, I gotta keep going.
The only other thing I would say is, and it obviously comes up in Django, but it's a lot more relevant. The first couple of films, they probably don't age so well in terms of the use of slurs. Like you got a lot of white guys using racial slurs, which seems like when I was rewatching, I was like, oh, interesting. Like in particular, there's a monologue in Pulp Fiction where Quentin Tarantino plays a character called Jimmy, and he's not playing a racist character, but he sure talks like a racist character. Yeah. It's very, very unusual, like kind of 30 years later, but it's still a wonderful film.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
It's like you said, films are kind of not condoning that in any way, but films are kind of snapshots of when they came out, and once they're out there,
Yeah. Yeah, the absolute products at the time, but definitely get on Tarantino. But I would go, the Glorious Bastards, Kill Bill, Reservoir. Like, there's not really a bad place to start, but I wouldn't start at the most recent one.
No, you want to start early.
Yeah. Nice one. That brings us to
what's your number 4?
All right, so my number 4, I will go out there and say that this is my favorite comedy of all time.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought comedy. Good.
Well, it's comedy with the twist of what you'd expect from me, because I think this is the only film I have ever seen by this director, but it's enough for me to still love the movie and like the way this guy writes. This was a movie from the 70s that I saw again very early on as a kid, and I still think it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life, with a little bit of a horror element to it, because my number 4 is Young Frankenstein.
Wow, what a pick! I haven't seen Young Frankenstein in decades, so I'm going to be really rusty on this one. But I'm so glad you built Mel Brooks. What's his name? Gene Wilder. What a pick! And Marty Feldman.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And
did you hear me second guess myself? I'm like, Jason will correct me if I'm wrong.
This is the comedy that I probably pull most of my quotes from whenever I'm talking to people. I am absolutely that friend to throw movie quotes at people.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of times I just yell things from this movie is unreal. I mean, every time I'm talking to them and I go, whenever things like this would happen, I'll never forget my old dad, the things he'd say to me when things would happen to him. I go, oh, what would he say? What the hell are you doing in the bathroom day and night? Why don't you get out of there? Give someone else a chance. It's just, or obviously said a dirty word. He said a dirty word. It's just, I love the horror take on it. I love that it's a comedic sequel to a beloved horror classic. I think the writing is genius. This might be my favorite Gene Wilder performance, even over Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I just think his performance here is flawless. He's so stern and like not trying to be funny in the things that he's saying, but he's hysterical. Marty Feldman, obviously, with their wolf, their castle. Why are you talking like that? I thought you wanted to. No, I don't want to. Search yourself. I'm easy. Like, every time I watch this movie, it's nostalgia. It's funny. It's got my love of horror in it. It is beautifully written. And again, I probably attribute a lot of my love for horror from this movie, because it's one that I saw earlier on that was very accessible and didn't scare me.
Yep.
I mean, like, even with Peter Boyle's performance as the creature in here, it's just a flawless comedy. I think it's, again, my favorite comedy. It's got my love of horror in it, and I just think it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life.
You are selling me so hard on it. You're making me want to rewatch. I said I haven't seen it in decades. Like, the last time I would have seen, I would have been in my early teens. It's been a long time, but like, you've just all those lines and gags are reminding me. I'm like, geez, like, I gotta go back and watch Young Frankenstein. I think it's a great pick. Lovely to see like a classic pick in there as well, like a 70s. I know that Halloween was 70s as well, but to go back a little bit further even.
The 70s is a decade that, when I first got into film and horror, I found, probably like many people that weren't born in that time, I found 70s film to be the more like downtrodden and kind of way slower, even borderline boring era of cinema.
It's a pacing
for a while.
thing. Yeah, absolutely.
But the older I get, the more I really have come to appreciate the way that the 70s, probably better than any decade, is able to encapsulate a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got, when we talk about horror, like, we talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Exorcist, but we, go back, you talk about movies like The Godfather, you talk about, Young Frankenstein, like, all of those films encapsulated what they were going for so well. And you go back and watch them and you're like, man, the older I get, I just want to let these movies like wash over me.
Yeah, like, I agree with you, because there are certainly older films, and I'd go even further back, like films from the 50s and 60s, where they're just like, we got 4 hours to tell a story. Let's do it. Like,
Yeah.
we're the only movie coming out for the next 3 months. Like, we can go for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So there was a pacing thing where they didn't seem to really care about runtime, but those 70s ones in particular, I think you're right. It's not that there's a pacing issue. They just take their time. Like, look, we've got time to tell our story. We don't need to, like these days, every film has to be 2 hours or less so they can get as many sessions in the megaplex as possible. But like in the 70s, it wasn't all about, it was about the money, but not the way it is now. So it's like, hey, let's just take our time, tell a good story. And yeah, like we've been doing the decades on this show. So we started with the 80s and we're going to go back later on and look at some older stuff. But every decade has a very distinctive feel and style to it. And like, it's such a, casually thrown around phrase now, but whenever I think of 70s, the first word that comes to mind is gritty. Like, that's what I think of when I look at 70s films. Like, I think of the grain on the film. I think of like the browns and the grays and like just like those very dark tones. And there's fun stuff in there as well, but that's what I think of. And yeah, it speaks to what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's also too for the 70s, there's just something kind of edgy about the humor with Young Frankenstein. I mean, probably the line that everyone goes back to is what knockers? Oh, well, thank you, doctor. Like, there's some racy humor in there. Like when the Frankenstein like table that they would have the creature on, his assistant and Dr. Frankenstein or Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Like, there's the whole like it comes down and they've clearly just slept together and he's like, I thought I told you never to interrupt me when I'm working. And like just I always butcher her name, but Frau Blucher is the old like handmaiden that is in the castle. And every time they say her name, like the horses go off. Like, it's just a flawless movie. It's so much fun every single time. And it still makes me laugh to this day. And the older I get, the more I appreciate the comedy. But yeah, there's some jokes in there that were kind of edgy for the 70s, I think.
There are a lot at that time, like a big comedy franchise that kind of started in the 60s, then moved to the 70s. Obviously, was Monty Python. With and you get I can't remember what year they all come out now, but you've got like oh my god, I'm blanking. The King Arthur one, Holy Grail. I completely forgot what it was called for a second.
Oh yeah, Holy Grail is amazing.
Like, that's got some racy stuff in it, like the whole Tower of Pleasure with all the nuns. Like, like that's very much a product of its time. You couldn't necessarily get away with that in a PG movie these days. My favorite Monty Python is I don't know if you got it over in the States, but it's called A Now for Something Completely Different. And all it is a compilation of their best sketches, and it's so funny.
That's awesome.
They find a way to kind of tie them in. Like, it's not a narrative, but they find a way to connect them all, and it's a lot of fun. But when you started talking about Young Frankenstein, I immediately thought of the Python stuff as well. Do you have much of an affection for Young Frankenstein, Jason?
No, not at all, actually. I mean, I've seen it and it is funny, but it's not one of those that really sticks out for me as a movie.
This is exactly the dynamic I was talking about on your show. Like, we've spent 5-10 minutes talking lovingly about Young Frankenstein, and you, Jason, no.
No.
Welcome to my life, James.
And this is where we have the most fun is when Bucky goes, "Oh, I love this," and I'm like, maybe not. But no, like I've seen Young Frankenstein and I enjoy it. I wouldn't put it up there on some of my favorites, but it's good. I get it, and I really do like
none of it is what he's trying to. He's trying to find one thing nice to say.
See, he's stuck in the greatness of the movie, so he's just losing his words, being like, this movie is great.
I was losing my focus for a second. No, but Holy Grail, I really love Holy Grail, especially with the rabbit.
Yeah, that bunny's got a mean streak.
I
Um,
definitely look at people a lot of times and quote Holy Grail and just, I don't want to talk to you no more. I fart in your general direction. Just greatest diss in film history. I fart in your general direction, and your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries.
No,
yeah.
my favorite is the witches. Are they made of wood?
Yeah. And what does a duck
Maybe.
do? Float.
Yeah. Does the duck float? Do they float?
She turned me into a newt. I got better.
Uh,
Uh,
I got better.
You can't skip over the Black Knight scene. Tis but a flesh wound.
yeah.
That flesh wound.
I've beaten you. No, you haven't.
Oh, so good.
So good. Well, then we know how Jason feels about Young Frankenstein. What is your number 4?
Yeah, throw your number 4 out,
Um,
Jason, so I can shit on it.
of course you're gonna shit on it. I am trying to think because, like I said, you're a bastard for trying to get me to do 5 movies.
Sure am. That's my role.
Well, so I guess I'm gonna have to go with Dark Knight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. What a great film. Yeah. Okay,
I
Jason.
love
Not Jason.
Dark Knight.
Kevin, tell us what's bad about The Dark Knight. Go.
I can't. I have not a bad thing in my body that I can pull out to say about The Dark Knight. It is a flawless movie. It is a masterpiece.
Mm.
Yeah, it's I've always been a huge Batman fan. And I read the Batman comics, and I would wake up on Saturday mornings. I don't know if you guys had this in Australia. But
The animated series with Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, we sure did.
Yeah. Well, so
Yes.
in the US, like it was Saturday morning. You woke up and you had quite a few different like animated series, but you had X-Men,
Great
Yep.
cartoon.
which was great. The X-Men, series, and then you had Batman, and the Batman was Kevin Conroy.
Who just passed
You
away
know,
only like a few months ago, which was
Yeah,
really
rest
sad.
I
in
Yeah.
know,
peace.
man.
What a legend.
I know. I was so sad. I love Kevin Conroy. But yeah, so like that was my Saturday morning, man.
Yeah.
Like, but watching The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger, and I can remember when they said Heath Ledger is going to play the Joker. I was like, what the fuck? Like the guy from Knight's Tale, like the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You, like really he's going to play the Joker? I was like, this is the worst idea ever.
I was waiting for you like an Australian. Ugh.
Yeah, true. Australian too.
Greatest Uno reverse card ever played in film history. Like people doubting Heath Ledger, and then the performance he gave. My God!
But it has happened repeatedly in the Batman franchise. Like people didn't want Keaton, and then people loved Keaton.
Yeah.
People didn't want Heath
Yeah.
Ledger, then they loved him. People didn't want Affleck, and say what you will about those films. I'm personally a fan of the Snyder films. I know people have different
Me
feelings
too.
on them. Affleck's great in them. Like, and then
He
Robert
is.
Pattinson again. People are like, oh, the Twilight guy, and like he's great as well. Like,
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
when they said Pattinson, I was like, really, Pattinson? And then I watched some of his other work that was not Twilight.
Good Time is a
Uh,
great performance. If you've ever seen Good
and
Time, yeah.
Obviously,
yeah,
the
and
Lighthouse.
Lighthouse was awesome. And yeah, just seeing some of his other work and then going, he's going to be Batman. I was like, okay, word, I can get into it. And yeah, I mean, he was great, and I loved the Batman. But yeah, the Dark Knight, is one of my favorites, man. I don't think there's a bad thing about that movie. Like that movie
it's a
is
real crowd
so
pleaser.
well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the best 8 minutes in the opening of a film ever. Just like from the droning sound of like that Hans Zimmer score as they close in on the skyscraper, and then just the window blows out, and then you see Joker after Joker after Joker going to the bank heist is perfect. It's so well done.
I can remember in 2008 when Jason saw The Dark Knight in theaters before I did, and I can remember him calling me and being like, "Yo, The Dark Knight's amazing," and he's like, "Be on the lookout for the magic trick scene."
Yes.
And as soon as we see Joker come on screen, like we see him in the bank heist, but as soon as he sits down to talk with the mob and he puts that freaking pencil in the mobster's eye, I mean, you are like, every time I watch that movie, I am sucked immediately back in and just captivated. But that's the thing, is that Heath Ledger, amazing Joker performance, but we can't overlook everybody. Like, everybody brought their A game there. Aaron Eckhart is Two-Face.
So good.
Christian Bale, probably his best performance as Batman. Michael Caine as Alfred. I mean, everybody was just flawless. Flawless.
Yep. And one thing I love about that franchise is that Nolan brought Cillian Murphy back as Scarecrow every film. Like, they showed they threaded that needle. They showed like some continuity. Like, yeah, you can have some bigger villains, but let's bring Scarecrow back every now and then, just so you know he's still at large, which I really liked. Joker's got some great lines in that flick. Like, I was thinking, if we're gonna have tryouts, and he breaks the pool cue, like, here's my card.
He breaks that pool stick.
Yeah.
Probably still my favorite Joker scene, and it's like the most Joker-ish scene that you could ever put on film, is when he's blowing up the hospital.
Yeah.
And he's got the detonator in his hand, he just goes, and then the hospital blows up behind him.
Which I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that was not deliberate. I heard that the detonator was faulty. And then that's why he was like, and then it did work afterwards. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like that story.
Yeah, I heard that too, that it was improv, that Heath just turned around and looked all disappointed at the bomb not going off. He tries to hit the detonator over and over again, and it scares him. That to me is Joker. And like, me and Jason are really big on Mark Hamill, and like, that's the Joker we grew up with. But like, Heath Ledger's Joker is like the Joker from the comics, just realized on screen.
Well, how funny is it that he's in the like nurse's outfit? Like he just does the most ridiculous, stupid stuff ever. And he's walking out of the hospital, or he's in the hospital talking to Harvey. And then when he comes out, he's in that nurse's outfit and like everything. And he just looks like super silly, and at the same time looks awesome. Like, it's just funny, man. Like, and it's that's what the Joker like should be.
And look, it is a different take on the Joker. You know, like, I think Mark Hamill described it. He said, like, when he went and first saw The Dark Knight, he was like, "Oh wow, this version of the Joker is like a washed out heroin addict rock star." Like, and he's a lot darker. But like, it's so fitting for that version of Gotham, and still very Joker. Like the idea of the nurse's outfit, or the two boats with bombs, but he swapped the detonators and stuff like that. Like, so very Joker.
And we also
that's a great description. Like a heroin junkie, but smart at the same time.
It's, I can't, like,
there's always that meme that goes around that says, like,
oh, you still there, Kev?
Yep, still here.
Yeah, sorry, you were saying something and it cut out, I thought. So, all good.
Oh no, sorry, man. No, I was gonna say that there's always that meme that goes around, like, ever since the Dark Knight came out. It's like, being a kid, you always like root for Batman, and then being an adult, you realize that you agree with what the Joker's saying,
Yeah.
which is so demented. Because like we don't in a lot of ways, but in some ways, it's like he's like a very like comprehensive psychopath.
Mm. Well, he
Yeah.
even says he's like, I'm like a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught
Yeah.
one. We're talking
Yes.
about Nolan's dialogue before, and like this is like a perfect example. Like every Joker line, look what I did to the city with a couple of tanks of gasoline and a box of matches. Like just
Mhm.
Yes.
like that's it. Like I have some issues with some of the Nolan Batman films, minor issues. I love those films. There are some things I do have a couple issues with, but like the dialogue, like the portrayal of the Joker is perfect. Like I can't fault it.
Yeah.
Well, just when I love the part where he's standing on the like stack of the money
Mm.
and he like slides down it and
Yep.
he's like, I'm just gonna burn the fuck out of it. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
burn it all. Like, and I'm just
Like
like,
I'm only burning my half.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's so good, man. Like it's just like, man, like how much of a better character could you find? Like just it's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm just gonna burn all this shit.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I also love that scene where he storms the fundraiser for Harvey Dent, and then he's
Yeah.
like, "Where is Harvey? Do you know who he is? Do you know? Do you know?"
And he
That's-
flicks the champagne on the
Yeah.
glasses.
he's like smacking guys. He's like, "Do you know where he is? Do you know who he is?" And then like
Yeah.
it cuts back, and he goes, "I'll settle for his loved ones."
Yeah.
Like it's just so demented, and like we absolutely love it.
Or let go of a really bad choice of words, and then
Yeah.
just drops it off the
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
And
Obviously, the thing that was in the trailer for like months and months and months of the movie before it came out, which was "Hit me."
yeah.
Oh, and dude, it's so good. When he goes out with the Batmobile,
I was about to
and
say the best Batmobile chase in any Batman film.
Oh my God,
yes,
yes. The Bat Pod.
absolutely. And yeah,
I remember when I saw Batman v Superman, and that's a film I didn't like the first time. I've come to really enjoy it now, but took a couple of watches. But I remember sitting in the theater and being like, "Why are we doing a Batmobile chase? Like, you've done the best version of this Batmobile chase. Like, why would you even compete?" Until I saw the Batman, which isn't as good as the Dark Knight, but it's a really good Batmobile chase in the Batman as
Yeah,
well.
it's up there.
yeah, I do like the Batman.
But no,
Same.
this is. I'll be honest. I'm shocked that this is number 4. Like, look how much conversation we got out of this one film. I can't wait
Yeah.
to see what's next. We should jump to your number 3, Kevin.
All right, go,
Well,
Kev.
this is
Bucky.
the last this is
He's
the
gonna
last
say
horror
some
film
stupid
on
shit.
the what'd you say?
I said you're gonna say some stupid shit, but go ahead.
He said it's his last horror film, which is surprising to me, being the big
You're
horror guy.
actually wrong, Jason. And if you still say that I'm putting out a bad film, you can't be on Midnight Terrors anymore.
Impress me,
Because
sir.
number 3 is my last horror film on the list, and I would be remiss if I didn't put this on here because I have a freaking tattoo of it. It was the movie that broke down the walls into the horror genre for me. It's the reason Midnight Terrors exist. It's the reason that I am a fan of the actor behind this character. I've got
And
to
it's
put
number 3.
yeah. And I was well, you'll find
Okay.
out why later, but I was tempted to put the 2 reboots of this movie along with it, but there's something about this original one that is just untouchable for me, and it's still my favorite horror film of all time, so I got to go with the original 1990 version of It.
Wow. Nice pick.
Yeah, man.
So I didn't know
one.
this about you. As I said, I haven't listened to all of your episodes, so I don't know whether you've covered it, early on. But I didn't know that it is the reason for all of it.
Oh yeah, it's
this
the
is
movie that so we just did a clown crossover on our show with our friends and Reviewed to Death, where we both picked clown related movies. And when we started, so the two movies we picked were Clown and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yep.
So yeah, Clown, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And but at the beginning of the Clown episode, which we recorded first, I asked everybody what their take was on clowns in horror. And if you go back all the way to episode 1 of Midnight Terrors, me and Jason sat there for an hour and talked about what movies brought us into the genre. And I can remember being 11 years old in 6th grade, and I had heard about this creepy clown because my mom had told me about a book where a clown takes the shape of the thing you fear the most and lures children into the sewers. And then that VHS made its way into my house because someone else brought it over, and it was 2 VHSs at the time because it was a 3-hour TV movie. And I saw the cover. I was immediately captivated by it, and I said, "Mom, can I please watch this?" And she said, "Okay, yes, but don't watch it at night. Like, just please don't. Wait until the morning." I said, "Okay, fine, whatever." And I woke up. It was the perfect, if you've seen the It movies, you'll know why. It was the perfect, like, Saturday morning. It was piss pouring rain outside.
I knew you were going to say that.
I woke up at like 7 in the morning, so excited. I popped the bad boy in, and immediately the first scene with Tim Curry as Pennywise going, "Hi," to the little girl. And then he charges the camera. It scared the shit out of me. And I ran out of this room and I went downstairs to my mom. And I said, Mom, he just charged the little girl. It's so scary. She's like, "I told you." And I said, "It's so scary. I'm going to go back and watch it now." And there were several moments of that, but I couldn't take my eyes off the screen ever. And it traumatized me for 3 months. I had to sleep in my dad's room. I was scared of shower drains and sinks and sewers. And, it's the movie that stuck with me and traumatized me and made me a horror fan, because once I got past my initial fright, it's a movie I've gone back to time and time and time again. It's my favorite horror film of all time. I think it's one of Tim Curry's best performances ever.
Absolutely.
And just still to this day. So, it's minimal compared to the reboots, which is what I almost put like as a 3-way tie. But something about this first
I was going to
one,
ask you where you stand on the remakes. Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love him. I thought Bill Skarsgård was the only perfect choice right after Tim Curry when I saw him. And I love It Chapter 1 and 2 so much. But maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's just the fact that this one got there first for me. But the 1990 version of It is just so like untouchable for me. I don't think will be another horror movie in my life that resonates with me the way this one does. And coming full circle, in 2021, I did a GalaxyCon video chat with Tim Curry, and I got to tell him thank you for scaring the hell out of me, and how that brought me into the world of horror. And I got to talk music with him and stuff like that. So it was just this full circle thing. It's still my favorite horror flick of all time.
That Tim Curry
I would be stupid to not put it on the list. Yeah.
Nice one. And have you read the book as well? Like, you're a big fan. Have you gone and read the book as well?
I'm working my way through it, kind of just little by little.
It's a tough read.
I'm not the biggest. I used to be a lot more of a reader when I was younger. These days, I'm just I like smaller books and
comic books. We talked about Batman.
Oh yeah, 10 pages.
Oh, you're dropping out again, Kev. Jason and I are going to talk about you behind your back.
No, I actually just kind of feel like what I've read of the book, I really, really love it.
Oh, are you still there, Jason? Because I think Kevin has...
Are we back now?
Yep, you're back now.
He's dipping in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, man. I don't know. I think I just have a lot of people in my house using the internet all the time.
Tell them to stop it. Say we're talking about really important stuff up here. We've lost you again, Kevin. Which happens sometimes. That's okay.
Yeah, it sounds bad.
He might have to go into his and I don't edit my podcast, so everyone can enjoy this little robot jig that he's doing. You might want a hotspot, Kev.
Fuck.
Hold on, guys.
No stress at all. It's all good. This is par for the course. We're just experiencing technical difficulties, listeners. It's all good.
Par for the
All right,
course.
we'll hotspot it for what battery I have. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, we'll hotspot it for as long as my phone will stay alive. But anyway, long story short, the book, I feel like, as much as I love what I've read of the book, the film got there first for me.
Yeah.
So the film will always be home base for me.
The book is tough. Like I adore the book. I think it's a really well written novel, but like they kept the right stuff out of the movies. Like there's some really messed up stuff in that book.
Yeah, I like that it's condensed. Even for a 3-hour movie, it's condensed.
Yeah. What was that? Sorry, Jason?
I was saying there's some really weird crap in it. When they're talking about the turtle that
yeah, I don't need that.
Escaping the drain at the end when they're children, that's pretty dark.
Yeah, and then once they take it out, all the kids are banging.
Yeah.
The girl.
Yeah, I don't need that.
I'm just like, ooh, like, yeah.
I don't need that.
I remember when the movie, when part 1 came out, the remake came out. I went to go buy the books. I'd never read the book before, and in bookstores they had to put disclaimers. They're like, "This book, you want to see the movie. Be aware, this book is very different from the movie. There are themes in here that you're not prepared." Like they went into as much detail as possible to try and talk people out of buying the book from the looks of it.
Stop simping. Yeah.
Yeah. Jason, you want to tell me that that I did a shit pick on this one? I dare you.
No, I wasn't telling you were doing a shit pick. Not
Is
at
it
all.
as good as The Dark Knight? We don't know. We're going to compare your list at the end, and we'll see who has the superior list.
Well, wait until we get to my number one. I don't know if I know I've told Jason, but I don't know if you'll see my number one coming because now the horror movies are off the table. So
with the exception of Halloween, everything has been a surprise to me. So
so I think I'm on number 3, I guess.
That's right, yeah.
So I'm going to go Tombstone.
Okay.
Excellent. You can tell me all about it and why I should watch it because it is one I do want to check out. So.
And Jason, I want to say now that you've said that, I think I know what your number one is, and I'm gonna react to it when we get to it to see if I got it right.
Okay. So Tombstone is one of my favorites. And I'm not really a big Western fan. I don't watch Western movies like at all. But Tombstone has this like crazy good cast. I mean, it's Val Kilmer, it's Kurt Russell, it's Bill Paxton. I mean, like everyone that you could possibly think to be in a film is in this movie. And there are some of the best lines and just some of the best just scenes in there. And I've watched Tombstone. And again, I think we talked about, or, I said it's just one of those things where it's like, when it comes on, you're just going to watch it just because it's on. And I'm surprised that you have not watched it. But
I'll say this: like I've talked about the show a lot. Like the films I haven't seen would like floor people. I didn't see like the original Terminator films until I was in my mid-20s. Like they're like I have been a disappointment to film fans everywhere. Don't worry.
You should make that an episode one of these days.
It's so fun, man. Especially Val Kilmer Like, it is Val Kilmer is the best role that he has ever played, and that probably anyone has ever played. Like, when I think about, like, okay, is there a person that's played just like a perfect character or a perfect thing in a movie? I always think about Val Kilmer in Tombstone.
You're not kidding about this cast, man. I am still scanning
dude.
through.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Yeah,
Sam
dude.
Elliott, Powers Booth, Michael Bean, Charlton Heston, Stephen Lang, Thomas Hayden Church, Michael Rooker, Billy Bob Thornton, like Billy
dude.
Zane.
I'm telling you, man, it's the perfect movie. It is the perfect movie, and like I said, I don't even like westerns.
Yeah,
like, that's not my thing, but it is perfect. It is perfect.
Yeah.
And all of the characters in there, and everyone that plays their role perfectly. And again, like, Val Kilmer, dude, plays Doc Holliday, and good God, like, he crushes it. And like, everybody that sees him playing that role, or just any of his one-liners or anything, like, you just look at Val Kilmer playing Doc Holliday and you're like, man, I want to be Doc Holliday. He's a badass. Like, seriously, you're just like, I want to be Doc Holliday. He's fucking cool as fuck.
You definitely. I mean, look, this is a film I didn't need to be sold on. I've been wanting to check it out for a while, but you're definitely selling me on it.
Dude, I promise you'll watch it. I can't believe you haven't seen it, but I promise you'll watch it and you'll fall in love immediately.
I'll send Kevin a message as soon as I want to be like, I watched it. Like, tell Jason I'm on board. If for some reason I don't like it, which I don't see being a possibility, I just won't say anything.
There's no way you won't like it.
Yeah.
There's no way that it'll happen.
Have you seen it as well, Kev?
Not all the way through. That's another one where my
which is a bigger sin? Starting it and not finishing it, or not seeing it at all?
I don't know, man, but
I feel like Jason's like, how could you not finish it? It's a brilliant movie. At least if I haven't started it, I've got an excuse.
Well, you know how Jason was talking about the movies that whenever they're on the television, you just like have to put them on. That's my dad in Tombstone.
Yeah.
Like, every time Tombstone is on, he puts it on. And my dad will, joke around with me and be like, how can you watch this horror movie or like all these horror movies over and over? And I'm like, why do you put on Tombstone over and over and over again? It's what sits with you. But I've seen like probably close to the entire movie with all the chunks I've seen. I've just never cohesively sat down and watched it from front to back. But no, impressive as hell cast. I'm not a big Western fan either, but again, a movie I'm very intrigued by. I think that Val Kilmer is, when in the right role, is a pretty phenomenal actor. So
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, he's wonderful in. And the latest Top Gun. I don't know if you guys caught that one. Like, obviously,
oh yes,
that was a movie. I've been very honest about that movie on this podcast. Not a film I was looking forward to. I was never a Top Gun guy. I had no interest in the film. I could not believe how much I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
No, I loved the new Top Gun. I thought it was amazing. Which I was shocked. Like, I didn't think I was gonna like it at all.
Yeah.
Especially when you get these like remakes or reboots. I was like, so whatever. But dude, it was shockingly good.
Yeah, I got to the end of. My wife came in. She goes, "Oh, you finished watching Top Gun?" I'm like, "Yeah." Do you want to watch it? Because I'll watch it again straight away if you want. Like, and she was like, "Well, no, it's 11 o'clock at night." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough." But it was one of those few films where I could have watched back to back, like straight away. I could have gone into it again.
Yeah, but and I've watched it like 4 times. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I watched it the first time, and then my mom was like, "Hey, have you seen Top Gun?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've seen Top Gun." And she was like, "Is it good?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, you want to watch it again? I'm like, sure. Like, no problem. I'll watch it again. It was great.
Yeah, nice one. Alrighty,
But
Kev.
I'll
Sorry, go on.
tell you, like, if you have any sort of love at all, um, for Val Kilmer,
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Tombstone, you're gonna lose your fucking mind.
it's on
Like,
the
you're
list.
just,
I'm
dude,
gonna
like,
go
there's,
scouring my stores online after this and see if there's a physical media copy available, and I'm gonna get it.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm sure there is some. He's
will
pretty
lose.
incredible in it.
You will lose your fucking mind. Like, you'll just be like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever fucking seen. Like, it's so good.
I'm sold. I'm there. Kev, number 2. We're getting to the pointy end. What is the number 2 movie on your list?
All right. So, like I said, the horror movies are off the table
We're done.
now, so I'm sure I'm leaving everyone in utter suspense as to what is coming next. This is probably the most oddball pick on the list,
I love this.
but it absolutely goes back to sentimental value. What's that?
I said I love this. I love when someone goes left of center, go oddball, go something that people wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't. Anyone that is close to me, it's not a movie that most people think of with like, oh, you get 5 favorite films of all time, and this is one you're going to put in here. But I can't not put it in here. It's from a sentiment standpoint. Again, a movie that I really, really love from the 90s that I have seen probably 100 times, if not more. And it is no. No, I said no horror movies.
Okay.
No, this is I'm not always the biggest fantasy person, but this was always a sticking point with me because as a kid, I loved dragons, anything dragons. And bless you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
So I tried to hide it.
Oh yeah. No, it's all right. And this movie
Dragonheart.
was, I'm sure Jason knows what's coming out. This movie was a favorite
Dragonheart.
of mine as a kid, still a favorite of mine today, Dragonheart.
Nice pick. Again, one I have not seen since I was probably a child.
Oh my God, James, I could probably rewatch this and quote the whole damn movie like verbatim. Like a staple line in my home in childhood was I know why you brought me the Dragon Slayer. I mean, just
Dragon Slayer.
such a fun cast with Dennis Quaid, David Thewlis, Sean Connery. Just again, just a fun watch, and I love like the dragon. Draco still to this day. Dennis Quaid. This is one of my favorite roles of his. Again, goes back to sentimental value. I watched this like Kappa, and it still holds a special place in my heart to this day. I put it on and just immediately be nostalgic and just, feel like there's a warm blanket around me. And again, just a fun fantasy film, honestly. I love the concept of this dragon and this evil king sharing a heart, and like they're bonded in that way. Again, Sean Connery, so much fun as the dragon. Yeah, just a fun movie that's very, very nostalgic for me from childhood. One that I watched with all family, and just a awesome movie.
Really great pick. I love a nostalgia pick, like because it's tough. Sometimes you'll look back at films that you adored as a child, and you go back and you're like, oh man, that's disappointing. It's disappointing. It didn't quite hold up. It doesn't look as good. It doesn't play as well. Like my version of that is the BBC production of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was like a TV movie. And I remember as a kid, I'm like, what an action-packed film. I'm pretty sure like the wolf was just a guy with like fur on. Like I don't have like some face paint, but I don't want to tarnish that memory, so I haven't gone back to it because in my mind it's still epic. Like, in my mind there was a real lion. Probably not. Like not on that budget. But I'm glad that it holds up for you. That's awesome.
Just the way
No, it
Yeah,
was so
just the way
fun.
it's shot,
And
Draco the dragon still looks fantastic.
Mm.
yeah, and I actually still really like Dragonheart. Dragonheart's fun.
There you go, Kev. Jason's approved one of them for you.
We agree
Yeah, there we go.
for one time.
What I'm sensing, and the listeners will
Right,
gather as
Jason,
well.
if you're
Sorry, what were you saying, Kev?
yeah, Jason, if you're number one. Oh, I was just gonna say, Jason, if your number one's not what I think it is, I'm going to be shocked.
I think you know what number one is.
I mean, again, I feel like we've talked about it on both your show and my show now. So if it's not that, I'll be surprised. But I've got an inkling. But I'm always ready to be surprised as well. Let's do it, Jason. Number 2, what's yours?
Number 2, that's hard. I would think Braveheart.
It's all about the heart in number 2. Dragonheart, Braveheart. Braveheart is a
Yeah.
solid flick. Not the most historically accurate film, but certainly an absolute.
No, and especially I mean not at the time, but in recent years, there's a lot of people that have come out and said, hey, it's not the most historically accurate thing. But I love Braveheart. And I remember seeing Braveheart in the theater, and it was so long because it's close to 4 hours, I think.
It's a pretty long one.
And yeah, and seeing it in the theater, they even had like a break. So it was like you watched like the first half of it, and then it was like, okay, um, we're gonna stop, and you can go, you can go take a little break, and then we're gonna do the second half or whatever. But I love Braveheart. Like Braveheart's like one of my favorite movies ever. And it's so brutal too.
Yes, it
Like
really
I
is.
mean, the fight scenes and the battle scenes. Like I mean, guys are getting their heads chopped in half and
Yeah.
losing limbs and everything. Like it's brutal. But no, like I love that movie so much, and I will still, again, it's one of those, like, if I'm just flipping through channels and I'm seeing, oh, it's on, I'm gonna stop and watch it.
Yeah.
And of course the I don't cry in many movies. Like I don't get super emotional in a lot of movies, but like man, like when they're like cutting him open, and they do a good job of not showing it to you, but
Mhm.
you know what's happening.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you can just see him like getting kind of gutted, which is what they're doing. Like they're
Yeah.
gutting him. Um, and they're pulling his insides out and just like ripping him apart. And then just that end where he's cries freedom, uh, and then it just drops it, and he sees his wife walking through the crowd and everything. Like I'm like a fucking baby. Like I'm crying like a fucking baby.
No, there's nothing
And,
wrong with crying in a movie. This show, we definitely encourage it. I cry in almost everything. And I put this movie in the pantheon along films like Gladiator and Troy and like those old like
yeah,
kind of historical but not entirely accurate, but like those big budget like big battle scene films like kind of peppered through history. It's great. Like it's visually stunning, violent as hell. Like especially for the time, it's like 95 or something. Like you didn't see
yeah.
very violent films around that time very often.
Yeah. Well, same thing with like Gladiator. Gladiator's great too.
Mm.
Um, and there's a couple like that, but nothing gets me like Braveheart.
Yeah.
Like Braveheart is just um super good, and just it does it tears your heart up. You're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck.
That's what.
So that's my I would say that's my number two.
Nice one. Any thoughts on Braveheart, Kev?
Yeah, that's another one that as a kid, I saw it on TV a lot. Never had it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been kind of a mixed bag for me. I really like his directorial work, but
Yep.
as an actor, I like him in a lot of stuff, but it's a bit of a mixed bag sometimes. I'm a little
Yeah.
bit more, and I know this is like me, more partial to the Patriot when it comes to his work.
Yep.
But thoughts on Braveheart as a movie overall? I definitely think I mean, it's an astonishing accomplishment
Yep.
of filmmaking, and I definitely it's something I'll get to uh at some point. I just haven't seen it all the way through yet, but I've seen, like, again, major chunks of it, and I've seen the ending 100 times on TV.
Yep. That was my nickname in high school, by the way, Major Chunks. So I'm glad you
Definitely a
brought that
tear.
one up. Um,
Definitely a tearjerker at the end. I will agree with Jason on that.
nice one. You are dropping out a little bit, by the way, Kev, but I think we're on the home stretch, so hopefully it'll hold up a little bit longer for us.
Yeah. Zoom.
Oh, Zoom. Oh, the 20 people in your house playing video games online. Let's do it. The reason we're here, number one film of all time. Kevin, take us home. What is it?
All right. So when I mentioned the 90s blockbusters, this was I was less than a year old when it came out in theaters.
What was that? Sorry, you dropped out.
Holy hell, when I got my hands I said when I mentioned the 90s blockbusters, this was the blockbuster of all time for me. I was less than a year old when it dropped in theaters, but I have no memory of the first time I saw it. But when I got my hands on this VHS tape, I watched it over and over and over and over again. It had everything. It had suspense. It had laughs. It had adventure. Even some slightly sad parts to me. It just had everything I ever wanted. And to go back to Steven Spielberg, he gave me the masterpiece of my childhood, and still to this day, my favorite movie of all time, the original from '93, Jurassic Park.
Yes, that's a good pick. That is a good pick.
It is a good one.
That is the reason that I am into movies. I not ask any one of my family members to watch this thing over and over and over again.
Absolutely, and not surprised.
And just looking at
Oh, sorry,
go ahead, James.
No, you dropped out. Sorry, that's why I thought you stopped talking. Sorry.
No worries. No, I was just gonna say, looking at the effects for this movie, the dinosaurs hold up miraculously, and I'm just a kid again every time I watch that movie. From an standpoint, and just from for the first time on the big screen in 2020, and my God, it was a dream come true seeing it on the big screen.
I was going to say, it doesn't surprise me at all that you're a horror fan, because there are elements of Jurassic Park that are downright terrifying, like from the lighting and like the whole diner scene with the raptors, the water and the glass. Like there's some absolute like pathways to horror in that film. The same way how Fellowship of the Ring was a pathway to horror for me. Like there are just elements of horror in this otherwise pretty fun adventure film for a family. Like definitely.
But you must go faster.
Oh yeah. You are gonna have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour.
Oh, Kev, you were dropping a quote and it dropped out, so we lost the magic of that quote.
Yeah, he is.
Damn it. I was saying, you are dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour.
Yeah, there are going to be dinosaurs, right? Dinosaurs.
One of the best Jeff Goldblum ever.
Absolutely. Solid Jeff Goldblum performance there. Yeah, nice one. We talked about Jurassic Park on the show. I don't have much more to add, but I think it's a great pick. And it sounds like Jason's is pretty much in agreement, which is good. But I'm ready to open the floodgates if he does want to say anything differently.
I definitely my all-time favorite movie number one is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Perfect.
Oh my God, I was wrong.
Yeah, I thought we were going to talk about The Thing.
We kind of nixed out horror. So favorite horror movie would definitely be The Thing.
I won't.
But
I won't say what my pick was, Jason, in case it shows up on your honorable mentions, which it better now that it's not your number one.
Yeah, honorable mentions be The Thing. But no, Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite movie like ever. Anytime it comes on, I will watch it. It's fantastic. I don't think there's no flaws in there. Like the movie is just perfect. It's it's adventure, it's fun, it's exciting. There's a lot of danger.
It's pretty perfect. Like the score, like that John Williams score, like maybe one of my favorites of John. Like John Williams has scored our childhoods, but probably one of my favorite ones is the Raiders music. Obviously, the scene in the market with the gun, where he's going to do the sword fight with the guy and just shoots him.
Yeah, and how funny is that shit, man?
Yeah,
he's like he waves his sword around.
I just want to point out. I just want to point out too. It's hysterical. Yeah, I just want to point out real quick. It's hysterical to me that both me and Jason picked movies directed by Steven Spielberg and scored by John Williams.
There you go.
Like, two of his best scores for sure.
But no, definitely. No, it's like, I mean, like one of the greatest scenes ever is, of course, guy swinging the sword around, and then Indy just pulls out his gun and shoots him and just walks away.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's so many like great scenes in that movie, and then Indy's got a monkey, like, and just it's just perfect, man.
Yeah,
it's written well, it's directed well, and I mean, I don't think there's anything you can't like about Raiders. And I
agree. Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't like that movie.
Yeah, well, I used to laugh, like even like my grandma like thought that it was the greatest movie ever, but she always used to cover her eyes when the guy gets cut up by the blades from the plane. She would always. I always laughed at her because she would always cover her eyes when the plane cut the dude up, and but yeah, I mean, it's perfect, man. Like there's
It is.
nothing not to like about that movie. And it's directed well. It's the soundtrack is perfect. The casting is perfect. Like it's just there's nothing not to like about it.
Yeah, and I don't know, like this might be controversial. I prefer Indiana Jones to Han Solo. Like if I have to pick a Harrison Ford performance, I'm going Indy.
Yeah, I mean, I like Solo.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't
and-
like him. I do like Solo as well, but I think I like Indy more.
Oh yeah, Indy
Understatement. Viewers, Jason.
Indy is like the best character ever.
Yeah.
Even a lot of people hate on Temple of Doom, and in recent years, actually, like I've come to love Temple of Doom. Like I actually like it a lot. Especially like when he's sitting on the bridge and he's about to cut the bridge down. Like it's the one-off. So it has nothing to do, or it doesn't really like fit in with Raiders or Last Crusade. It's just kind of this weird in between. But it's still so fun.
Yeah.
It's still really good.
There's a lot to like in that film. Like, yeah, like is it going to be Raiders? Like, no. Like none of the like to me, like Raiders is the peak of that franchise. But there's a lot of fun in those sequels that you can still enjoy, even if they're not quite the masterpiece that Raiders is. You got that great scene at the start with the boulder, like which has been parodied to death, like by people, even in Force Awakens they parodied the boulder.
Yeah.
And any film ending with Nazis melting is always entertaining. So it's a great pick. I'll be honest, Kev. Look, I don't compare lists, but he might have beaten you here. There's they're pretty strong lists, both of you. But Jason's got some crackers on there.
Oh, it's good, man.
Yeah, Raiders is it's about the peak.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that I love more than that.
No. Those are fantastic lists.
Close second would be Empire.
Yeah.
That's what I was penning for number one, Jason.
Yeah. Close second is Empire, but yeah.
Those are some great lists, guys. Like there's some stuff we've definitely talked about in the show, but you've brought some new films. Like we've never talked about Dragonheart or Braveheart or Tombstone or It or Young Frankenstein. Like bringing some new movies to the table for the show is all I can ever ask for. So they're great. I got no criticism of the list. They're excellent. You said you got some honorable mentions. We can just rattle through them quickly. We don't need to go into too much detail. We can just kind of list them off if you want to talk about some close seconds.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I guess I'll run down my list real quick. All right. So on my honorable mentions, I've got our boy Rob Reiner again, The Princess Bride.
Brilliant. Love it.
Again, one of my favorite comedies. Gotta put The Dark Knight in there. I know it was on Jason's list, but it's one of my favorites as well. This one I had never seen until I was 23, I think. And a large part of the reason why, if not the biggest reason why this movie is on honorable mentions, is because first time I saw it was the full experience of seeing it in a theater with a shadow cast, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and again, just one of my favorite things to do ever. I'm good friends with the shadow cast here in Charleston, South Carolina now. So one of my favorites there, one of my favorite soundtracks. Another horror movie, The Conjuring, the very first one. Still
Great
scared
movie.
the hell out of me. Gotta throw some Harry Potter in there. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Again, makes sense why I'm a horror fan, because I definitely consider entry into that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite of the Star Wars saga will be Return of the Jedi, That's probably the one I watched the most, and still my favorite in the franchise. And then probably my second favorite comedy behind Young Frankenstein. I got to throw some love to one of my favorite actors, Jim Carrey, with Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty is a film that does not get talked about enough. That's also the debut of Steve Carell. That's a great flick.
It is really
that
funny.
movie is hysterical.
Nice one. Jason, you got a couple of honorable mentions you want to chuck out as well?
Most of mine are probably going to be Star Wars because I love
Phantom
Star
Menace,
Wars.
Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith.
No. We don't talk about episodes 1 through 3 that they don't exist.
You don't. I grew up on those things.
Well, yeah, because you're young and they suck. But
my favorite theory about the latest my favorite theory about the latest trilogy was that at one point there's this theory online that the new villain was going to be a twisted, messed up Jar Jar who'd gone evil, and I was like, please, that would be amazing. Like, do it, just do it and see what happens.
there's like the theory that Jar Jar is a Sith Lord.
I love that,
which is really funny. But no, I love Star Wars, and I actually love the Jedi. What was it? The
Last Jedi?
Last Jedi. Yeah. I loved it. Like, everybody hated on it so bad, and I do agree with the new trilogy. It didn't really fit, so it was kind of out of the storyline, or didn't really kind of gel with what they were trying to do. But I still really liked it. And
I think Last Jedi is one of those ones that is another film that takes big swings. Like, when it hits, that movie really works. There are a couple of things that don't work for me, but it's not the trash that people are saying it is. There's a lot of great stuff in Last Jedi.
Not at all.
No, not at all. And I love Laura Dern.
Yeah.
I think she's amazing. And I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks. And she was in the Twin Peaks Returns series, which was really good. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff I liked about it. The trilogy could have been better, but man, especially the first one, just when you saw the Millennium Falcon take off for the first time, I literally I teared up.
Yeah, and that fight scene between Rey and Kylo Ren in the snow at the end,
it's cool.
Visually stunning. Like, we've seen a little bit of snow in Star Wars in the past, on Hoth, but this was the most intense version of that. That was so cool.
I would say too that Last Jedi gave us probably one of the best shots in Star Wars history. Going back to Laura Dern is when she fires the cruiser with herself inside through the dreadnought. Yeah. And there's just that silent shot of repeat, her just blowing through it. Love that shot.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
But we got a little bit off track. But yeah, Star Wars franchise up there for me. And not really trying to avoid the horror, but I really love The Shining.
Yeah,
The Shining is one of my favorite movies.
Love The Shining.
People laugh at me because. What's that, Kev?
If you do, I'll let you finish, but if you don't spit out the other horror franchise that is one of your favorites, I'm gonna punch you the next time I see you.
No, but Shining's really fun, and actually, people laugh at me because I'll actually put The Shining on when I'm going to sleep, because it's just like quiet and up
It's a
until
good
like
bedtime
really,
movie. I 100%
It
agree.
is.
yeah, it's just so quiet and there's like really nothing going on until the last like 30 minutes or so. Then
Yeah.
it amps up. But yeah, I love The Shining. And then all right, Kevin, what am I getting my ass kicked over?
You better fucking throw Evil Dead in there.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Evil Dead.
Nice
And
one.
I've read all of Bruce Campbell's books. The Chin That Can Kill is fantastic. I love Bruce Campbell. And I've watched everything that he's in. And Ash versus Evil Dead is fantastic. And even the Evil Dead remake, which obviously no Bruce Campbell in there, but
Well,
even the Evil Dead
tiny
remake
little
is
bit of
good.
Bruce Campbell at the end of the
Kind of.
credits.
Tiny at the very end.
Because the
Got a
planned
little-
sequel that didn't happen obviously was that crossover with him and her, but
Mhm.
which was it's
Right,
shame
but
we
we
missed
have
that.
this new one. What's it called?
Yeah, how
Evil Dead
excited are we
Rises?
for Evil Dead Rise?
Rise. Yeah. Which is in a tower or like a high rise.
Yeah, it looks cool. Looks legitimately creepy, which is all I want from an Evil Dead film.
Mhm.
Like just
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm down, man. I'm all there.
Nice one. My favorite or Bruce Campbell story, or I guess like theory, was that he was meant to be Mysterio in the Spider-Man films because like he kept popping up as different characters throughout the franchise, and the idea was that by 4 he was actually meant to be Mysterio. He's been watching Peter Parker for a couple of years become Spider-Man. I was like, that's cool. I would have loved that.
Yeah, just because it was Sam Raimi and
Yeah.
Sam Raimi. Yeah.
I'm surprised Spider-Man 2 didn't make an appearance on your list, Jason.
No, I like that one too, though. But I don't know
Kevin,
if
it's a
it's in my
very
top
unfair
5.
question. 5 movies.
Yeah, you
Like
had to cut me down to
you want
5.
top
Like,
5? Give you top 20.
Yeah.
yeah, you had to cut me down to 5, and if you cut me down to 5, I can't do that.
The same thing happened to me when I went on We Love Horror, which is our mutual friend Michael's podcast. He said to me, "Oh, I do this thing on my show where the first time you're on, I get you to do your desert island films. 5 films you take to a desert island." I was like, "All right, no worries, no problem. I'll get it sorted." I messaged him an hour later. I said, "Well, I'm at 40." I said, "I'll keep cutting it down." And then
Is there some wiggle room to include more films?
Yeah. I was like, what if I have a USB stick? And what I ended up doing was I did my top 5, and then I told him all the ones that didn't make it, so I still got to talk about my 40 films. Because I'm a rule breaker.
Stuff, man.
Kevin,
That's
Jason,
awesome.
this has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, guys. We've been going we started talking around at 9 p.m. your time. We've been going for almost 3 hours. And it's a school night, guys. It's been an absolute joy, as I said. Fantastic list. Love having you on. I'm a huge fan of the show. Before we wrap things up, where can they find you? Where can they find the show? Where should they start? Tell them all about it.
Bucky, get it.
So our show, Midnight Terrors, weekly celebration of horror every episode. You can find us on social media, Midnight Terrors Podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically anywhere you get your podcasts. You can shoot us an email. Let us know what you'd like to hear us talk about at midnightterrorspodcast@gmail.com. And, I think our show is just about making friends and celebrating this little thing that we love called horror. So get in touch with us. We want to thank James for being a lovely guest to us the other week and for having us on. And I recommend I think there's a lot of different topics in there. So maybe, start with episode 1, get to know us a little bit, and then you can just follow our journey of all the friends we've met and just see what horror movies jump out to us at what time.
Nice one. I would absolutely recommend listening to my episode, the Dawn of the Dead episode. If you like my
Absolutely.
show, then you'll probably like that crossover. I would also recommend listening to Kevin's interview with Harley and Tyler. Again, if you liked them on my show, you'll definitely like his take on it as well. Jason wasn't there, but the illustrious Mr. J made an appearance, and it was a good time as well. It's a fantastic show. I'm a big fan of these boys, and they're doing really great stuff. They've got a huge following, and they're talking to all sorts of cool people. There's also a John Carpenter interview, I believe, which is available somewhere. So definitely give them the love and follow them along as soon as you can, because it's good stuff.
Well, James, I guess we like it having you on too. So
Told you
Boy,
they were
do
sweet.
we.
I told you they were sweethearts. Once you're done following them, follow me on Instagram as well. I was a teenage film snob, an underscore between each word, because Instagram does not like me. Like the show, give it 5 stars. Nothing less than 5 stars. I don't want anything lower than that. Just kidding. Say whatever you like. I don't really care. All attention is good attention. And as we say every single week on this show, guys, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. We'll see you next week.
bye.